This is Sweet June coming at you. How's everybody's week been? Mine was pretty decent. Just still doing the best I can to get by and everything. But I thank God that I'm here. I'm a little broke down, but I'm here. That's a blessing. I want to talk about. Um, I was on Facebook earlier. I'm a little bit of a Facebook junkie. I was on Facebook earlier, and there was a black lady on there. You know how you if you guys get be on Facebook, you ever see those people that come on and they have the cards and they have message cards and they're telling you a story uh, through the cards, and they have each sentence written on the card. They just keep flipping the cards and they're telling you your story and they're using the cards. Well, this black lady had one of those stories where she had a video where she told her story via the cards. And she was saying, to make a long story short, she was saying that she and her sibling got molested at a young age, and she got raped by a woman, and the woman pumped her with heroin, and then she got addicted to drugs, and then she went into prostitution, and then she had some kids, and she didn't know the fathers to them all, and then she suffered with drug addiction, and she got married, and then she lost her husband, and um, lost everything, and lost her kids. Then she went back on drugs, and then she got recovered again, and then after she got recovered again, um, through God's help, she wrote a book, and she says she's self-employed, and she wrote a book, and it was just a wonderful testimony. I was reading looking at the video and reading the cards, and it was an awesome testimony. I mean, it was just a wonderful testimony, um, that she was able to overcome all that, and Jehovah God is the only one that can help you overcome any adversity in your life. I mean, I don't care what you go through. Jehovah God is the one that can help you pull through it. Um, and it was just a wonderful testimony. I just thought it was a wonderful. I shared it, and I thought it was a wonderful testimony. But I kind of marinated on it. I said, you know what? This black woman said she was molested. All the things that she said she went through that was leading up to her having kids. Prostitution and her having kids. Um, I just kind of marinated on it. I just kind of thought, I wonder how many people would judge her. I wonder how many people would sit in judgment of her, because she had kids, and she said she didn't know the fathers to them all, and her drug addiction and her prostitution. It just kind of made me marinate and kind of made me think. Um, I wonder how many people would judge her, knowing that everything that she had been through, getting molested as a child, getting heroin pumped into her, um, which would led her on her drug abuse journey. And I said, I just wonder how many people would sit in judgment of this woman. This woman had went through so much in her childhood, and it kind of determined her early adulthood of some of the things that she went through and some of the mistakes that she made. It was because of what she went through in her childhood. And I said, I just kind of wonder how many people would judge this woman, how many people would sit in judgment of this woman. And it just got me to thinking um, how people get judged, how we get judged. The Bible says that we shouldn't judge. Judge and you will be judged. And God doesn't want us to judge people. He feels like that's his job to judge. That it's his job to judge people. That we don't have the right to judge other people. And I noticed that that's a lot that goes on in the world, particularly here on YouTube. I noticed that there's a lot of judging that takes place. That a lot of people get judged, and a lot of people do a lot of judging. And just like this lady had went through some things in her childhood, and determine some of the choices that she made in her adulthood. Um, I just wondered how many people would sit in judgment of her. And I thought about, you know, how a lot of people get judged for, I don't know, whatever the life decisions that they made in their life, the mistakes that they made in their life, whether it be drug addiction, alcohol, or someone that might have committed a crime and did some time in prison, or somebody, a woman that, um, might have had some kids out of wedlock, or a single mom. Whatever the situation is, people like to judge other people very harshly for some of the things that people go through. And I just don't think that's right. It's not right for us, for anybody. And when I'm talking about me too. I'm not just talking about you guys. I'm talking about me too. I don't think any of us have the right to judge anybody. We don't have the right to sit in judgment of anybody, no matter what this person, because I guess the point that I'm trying to drive close to home is you don't know what that person has been through in their life. Just like when these black men come on YouTube and they sit up here and they call black women all kinds of horrible names, and they say all kinds of horrible things about black women, and they talk about black women, how we're having kids out of wedlock, and how we're this saying horrible things about black women, and nothing good, nothing positive, that we're all the same and all this kind of stuff, but never really stopping to think how many black women out there that has went through a lot of adversities. How many black women had gotten molested as children, and went through a lot in their life. But it's so easy for people to sit up in judgment, but never really stopping to think what those people been through in their life. All the changes that these people been through in their life. But they get judged. And it's not right. It's not right for us to judge anybody, because you never know what anybody is going through. You don't know what people have gone through. They say it's important for us to, like when we go into the workplace, or even when we encounter strangers on the street, like we go to a store or in a public place and we encounter strangers, it's so important for us to be nice and be kind, because we don't know what that person is going through. It's so easy for us. We live in a society that we get judged by how we look. People get judged by how they look. If you don't have a certain look and you don't look a certain way, you get judged. If you're not a certain color, or you don't have a certain hair texture or whatever, or you just don't look. If a person is East Indian, like a Muslim, or a Arab or whatever, people automatically assume that they're a terrorist, because they look a certain way. So if you look a certain way in this country, you're going to get judged. And it's not right, because it is important to treat people with love and kindness. It is so important for us to not judge. And because you never know what people are going through in their life. You never know what kind of adversity people are going through in their life. It's just like I heard about this young lady had killed herself in front of her family, because she was getting bullied at school about her weight. I just heard about this just recently, and I just wanted to cry. I read that and I just wanted to cry. It was horrible. She killed herself in front of her family. They came in and found she was up against the wall and had a gun pointed to herself, and they was trying to talk her out of it, and she pulled the trigger. I mean, could you imagine somebody doing that? Could you imagine the mother of this child? How do you process that, knowing that your child committed suicide right there in front of you? How do you process that? Because she was being bullied about her weight. It is parents' responsibility to teach their children to not bully, to not talk about, to not tease and taunt people. It is so important for parents to teach their children that. But in a lot of cases, the parents are sitting up there doing it themselves. And children model themselves after their parents. If a child sees their parents doing that, bullying people, talking bad and bad mouthing people, then they're going to go out and do the same thing. And I'm sorry, but I think that the parents should be held accountable. The parents of the people that was bullying the girl should be held accountable because it's the parents' responsibility to teach children to not bully. I taught my sons to not bully and to not tease people in school. I told them if I find out that they did it, you know the rest. Okay? Um, I'm sorry, but it would have been some serious repercussions. And I had a zero tolerance on that. I made sure both of my sons knew that I had a zero tolerance on them bullying or teasing and taunting anybody. And I made sure I put my foot down and I said I have a zero tolerance for it and I'm not going to tolerate it. Don't let me find out that you're doing it. You know, and the parents need to be held accountable. The parents need to put their foot down and to make sure that their children is not doing that. I mean, I just think it's really sad, and it's just so important. We have to teach our children to be kind to people, to treat people with love, to treat people with respect, treat people the way that you want to be treated. The Bible, says, "Do unto others as others will do unto you, as you want others to do unto you." And it's just like all the black men that come on here and like to judge black women, just call black women names and talk about it's like we even get judged for going to church. Black women, it's like in a lot of black men's eyes, we can't do anything right. We get judged no matter what we do. We even get judged for going to church and trying to serve God. We get judged for that. Some black men will talk about black women for doing that. So I just think that it's just horrible because you never know what anybody is going through. You never know what kind of adversities that people are experiencing, what people are going through. It is so important to treat people with kindness. It is so important to not judge people and talk bad about people. And and there's some of these people that come on YouTube that sit here and they come on here and their whole MO is just to bash people, put people down, and to talk horrible about people without even knowing what people are even going through, without even realizing what people are going through. It's a cold-hearted thing to do. I think it's a cold-hearted thing to do, and I refuse to make my channel about that. I refuse to make my channel about coming on here bashing people, talking about people, sitting in judgment of people. I'm not going to do it. And I know a lot of people are making a lot of money doing that and they're profiting off of it. It's not cool. And you know what? God doesn't like ugly. God sees everything that you're doing. He sees that everything that you are doing, and judgment will be upon you. They don't think that judgment will be on them, but it will. And it's just like people, poor people and low income people get judged for being on food stamps, certain people, but black people get judged more than anybody for being on food stamps. Black people get lots and lots of scrutiny for being on food stamps. And it just doesn't make any sense because, and poor people in general, we live in a classist society. This country is also classist in addition to racist and sexist. It's also classist. And so poor people really get judged for, and most of the people that are on food stamps are working. I've made that point in some of my other videos that most people on food stamps are working. A lot of people that are receiving food stamps are working. They're just not making enough money to make ends meet, and they need a little assistance. But everybody, middle class and upper class people automatically assume that everyone on food stamps is just sitting up being lazy, not trying to work, and just mooching off the system. And that's not the case. That might be the case for some people, but a lot of people that are on food stamps are working. believe it or not. And so people sit in judgment of people that are receiving assistance. But never, never, ever do they ever stop to think that one day they might look up and may need that same assistance. And they wouldn't want anyone judging them. Because we never know, you don't know, never know what you're going to go through. You don't know the circumstances of the people that you're judging. What if this person was working for many years and they got fired and they lost their job and they found that they in need of some assistance? Everybody's situation is different. Each individual situation is different. No two people's situation is the same. And everybody has a story. And everybody's situation is different. So it's not right for us to be in judgment of anyone. Because we don't know what anybody has went through. We some of the people on middle class after 2008, after the economy crashed, they found millions of people that wasn't on food stamps found themselves needing food stamps for the first time. A lot of them for the first time, and the rolls went up. Now I wonder how many of those people sat in judgment of others when they was up in their middle class jobs or whatever. I wonder how many of those people sat in judgment of the other people. And then they looked up one day and they found themselves in need of some food stamps. So all I'm saying is that we got to be careful. We have to be real careful. When I say we, I'm talking about me too. We got to be careful the judgment that we pass on people. Because that scripture is real in the Bible. It says, judge and you'll be judged. Because the same judgment that you give out, you'll be judged the same measure. So we just have to be really, really careful about judging people, how we treat people, because you don't know what anybody's been through. You don't know it. Everybody has a story. You don't know that person's story. You don't know what they've been through in their life. And it's cruel and it's evil and it's cold-hearted to sit up and judge someone without even knowing their situation. So it's just a little something that I marinated on. I watched that video. I thought it was a wonderful testimony. If you guys are on Facebook on a regular basis, maybe you'll catch it because it's circulating. But I just thought that was a beautiful testimony and how she rose up from that and became successful. But I just looked at that and I said, well, I wonder how many people sat in judgment of this woman, not even knowing everything that this woman had been through in her life. This kind of gave me something to marinate on. Well, I got some more interesting videos coming up. Just a little something I'm marinating. Little food for thought. Give you guys something to think about. Stay tuned. Peace and love. This is Sweet June.